born, and how did you start to migrate to become you?
Okay, I was born in Calabria in southern Italy. And when I was 6.5, I the father of a schoolmate was killed by the local mafia because he refused to purchase some material, construction material.
Yeah.
And I remember that event because it was a kind of collective tragedy. When I asked to my parents the reason of the murder, they were not able to provide me an answer. And that was similar to what happened in the town. No one stood up, no one went to police to report anything. And I think that moment I decided to choose knowledge rather than indifference.
Yeah.
And I started to collect news clips, put together a kind of archive, and that was a way to document everything happened in my area. And I think that event triggered the interest for the study of organized crime.
What area in Calabria, if you don't mind me asking?
It's my hometown is Caulonia, which is a town in the Reggio Calabria province.
Yeah, I have my brother-in-law, his family from Catanzaro, Spielinga. It's a small little town. I don't think too far from that. I think more about an hour or so. So I'm very familiar with the Calabrian culture. My family hails from about 2 hours west of Napoli, which in many ways is alike, but many ways different. So just like other organized crime organizations, as you observed them as you went along, the Ndrangheta took a totally different path versus Cosa Nostra, versus Camorra, and the American, even the Canada Mafia. Give us a little bit about the migration of Ndrangheta and then what made it important today.
But the Ndrangheta was born at the same time of the Sicilian Mafia. They have not arisen from the struggle between the rich and the poor,
Yeah.
the powerless and the powerful. And that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. Criminal organization, especially the mafia and mafia-type criminal organization, are power system. Well connected to social elite with an extensive reach around the world. You mentioned the Ndrangheta. The Ndrangheta is one of the world's most powerful and lesser known Italian mafia criminal organization.
Yes.
For decades, the Ndrangheta was invisible like the dark side of the moon. And I think the success of this organization lies in how they were able to combine tradition and innovation. And also because at one point, while Cosa Nostra was challenging the state, the Calabrian Mafia decided to invest in the cocaine business. And they became probably one of the most powerful organizations in the cocaine shipment and cocaine business in the world.
Now, but prior to that, because I want to follow the progression and kind of as Ndrangheta grew, and then also your career as an expert. So they started out with kidnapping. I remember when I was young, I just kept saying a lot of Calabrians would not be careful about going to certain towns because if you're American, if there's situations, there's actually a kidnapping season. So my understanding is they would start with kidnapping. And again, I don't justify what they do, but from a business perspective, it was brilliant because they would start with kidnapping, which is a high margin business, and then dump that into the cocaine. So if you could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, Tom, you are absolutely right. They started with kidnapping, but we have to remember that Ndrangheta was born in the first half of 1800.
Yes.
and they were well connected with the social elite. They were able to survive during the fascist regime, and they were well strong and well organized after the Second World War. So I think they made the headline for the first time in 1973.
The Getty kidnapping?
Getty kidnapping, yeah. Exactly. That was the moment when the world, for the first time, heard this unpronounceable word, Ndrangheta. and that was one of many hundreds of kidnapping. I remember Cover as a crime reporter, the last part of this profitable business. And then, as you mentioned, the modern mafia was born in the 80s when it moved into cocaine,